Have you ever wondered what it's like to be cancelled, or when someone's after you, try to get you cancelled, try to destroy your name, your reputation, and your livelihood, to that point where you start wondering if you'll have food on the table for your kids? It's not a very pleasant feeling or experience to go through, not at all. And just 2 days ago, this news story broke here in Norway about my experience for the past 2 years, where 7 times I've experienced this. It's actually 9 times in the past 3 years. I'm thinking about making a video about that. Should I do that? Top 9 people who have tried to get me cancelled? Well, it's not very pleasant at all, as I say, and in this news story, it's pretty good for me. There's this professor who backs me up. He's tried to hire me all through 2021, and for some reason his institute leader says, no, you can't hire Sturla. And then there's this archaeologist who tries to, calls his institute leader. Even, I think she's the one who called down to Copenhagen also, actually. Caused a lot of trouble for me. And she even replies in this news story, so I'll show you this now in a minute. But this all stems from one instance, a study about Vikings back in September 2020, that's when it was published, that led to these strange headlines. And that's what I criticize, not the research itself, mind you. I'm proud to have been a part of that research. Lots of good, great scholars. But there's this lack of historical knowledge. I'll watch my words here a little bit now. And perspective on history. You know, they just see this Viking age just like this. And I wanted to address that because I couldn't really live with this, and I'll show you why. But you know, this news story on CNN, to get these headlines, that's what I criticized, you know, in the way this head geneticist talked with the journalists. And he even portrayed a photo of himself like this, where he, as the Danish guy, is the slave, to illustrate a point. He even expressed that he had a meaning to do it this way. He wanted to provoke. He said in the newspaper later, when I went to the journalist in Denmark about this, and here we see the Ashot. He's a great guy. He's the lead scholar on this paper, and he's from Armenia, and here he's portrayed as a slave owner. So I really didn't like this, and in this story, this professor that I've been working closely with now for a year says that he was warned, it says on the top here, against me. And he says he got this phone call from this archaeologist at the National Cultural History of Oslo, of Norway, in Oslo. So, and she asked him, you know, is it true, it says here, that Sturla is going to work with you and do research? And then when he confirms this, she, don't mind the text, you can read it, and if you click the link below and translate, but I can tell you here, she says, and I got it right here now, it was very unusual to be called of that in this way, because she wanted to know what he was going to do research on and why he was going to work with him. And then she told him about this conflict in Denmark with Eskevillerslev, as you say here. And she even sent him an email, you know. And he didn't, you know, he looked at this and said, I don't see anything wrong here. And they talked to me, and it was very easy to explain. But, you know, he felt it was really, really uncomfortable. And he doesn't like this cancel business. I mean, nobody does, except for those who try to get people cancelled, of course. So we decided to go out and in this news story and do this. In this news story, I also explain the reasons why people are after me in this way. And then we have the reply from this archaeologist who calls around, you know. I really can't understand what gets people to call around, want to destroy people's reputation and livelihood, and really make things difficult in a sense. It's so rude and bad style. Anyway, she says it was just an ordinary phone call. Nothing out of the ordinary, she said, as she was the leader of the archaeological section at the National History Museum of Norway. And then under the title here, breaks with research ethical principles. They ask him, well, did you mention the conflict with Eske Willerslev? Well, maybe I referred to it. Yeah, she says, And she thought it was smart to inform him of that, just, to be on the safe side. I don't know. It's pretty weird. As I said, he felt it was really, really uncomfortable. And what about the research that I was criticizing? Well, I wasn't criticizing the research. That's what Eske Willerslev tried to tell me. I was criticizing how he talked with the news, with the media, with the journalists, like this one, that got them to write stories like this. Vikings were neither blonde or Scandinavian, it says here, with DNA from Asia. It sounds so dramatic. It's not, and when he wrote, I felt I had to say something, in this new story here. Norway and Sweden had only very few Vikings, it says here, or few Vikings. And the new results show that Danes, Swedes, and Norwegians didn't even have much contact at that time. And this is what I try to address as a historian before publications many times. And that's why I had to say something afterwards also. Why this focus? There are so many other stuff that they could have focused on. There's lots of great things to take out of this study. Why this focus to put things a little bit on the edge to get these headlines, And I said many times the data in Sweden and Norway is not representative. Even Ashot, the leader, was clear on this, especially in Sweden. And I was part of that collection in Norway, and I know this very well. And I'll show you a map here now, just to prove my point. But here, look at this. Actually, there weren't so many Vikings in Norway and Sweden as we thought, he said, And then he calls Norway the rotten banana. I mean, I had to say something. First, he says there are no Vikings almost in Norway, and then we are the rotten banana. Here he says the rest of Scandinavia, except for Denmark and 2 islands, was the rotten banana at that time, meaning only farmers lived there. That hadn't really changed much since the peasant Stone Age, or farmer Stone Age, he says. And he says also at the bottom here, maybe the Norwegians won't be happy to hear this, but that's how it looks. But it's not how it looks, is it? I addressed this many times and knew very well that the data set was not representative. And I'll show you this on a map here now. As you can see here, there's not even one individual from the Viking Age or before around the coast of Norway, from Trondheim, between Trondheim and Oslo. I mean, not even one. And that's where most of the Norwegians Viking came from. And how can you then talk to the journalists in this way? And that's what I criticized. And yes, I thought he was going to be angry with me. And boy, did he get angry. I got all these accusations of racism also against me. And now it follows me here in Norway. And you know where this woman, where she works now, with which project? Well, here, she says so also. She's involved in a research project in Denmark, in Copenhagen, which is coincidentally the same project that I was a part of before I was thrown out. So there you go. Not fishy. Nothing fishy there at all, huh? As for me, I'll keep working here in Norway and doing the best I can. I'm branded, of course, and well, I guess that's okay, because I know there's a lot of people who are not comfortable at all with this cancel business. And for the past couple of days, I've gotten so many good calls and people and emails from academics, even from professors, several professors, who are totally supporting me, and that's why I'm posting this video also. So join me for the next video when I'll talk about the top 9 times people have tried to get me cancelled. If you want that video. Take care and stay strong.